Hola amigos, bien o no, y saludos desde Medellín. Hoy otro día maravilloso, ¿no? Mire este cielo hoy, qué bonito, ¿no? Pero entonces, hoy es un día, bueno, el fin de semana, mucho para hacer. Estoy disfrutando el tiempo libre. Estoy leyendo o releyendo un libro que primera vez que yo leí este libro casi 30 años antes, 1988 más o menos. Entonces quiero compartir un poquito de este libro hoy porque este es un muy interesante estilo de escribiendo en inglés. Es como dice, es like travelogue. Este señor tiene un viaje hasta el centro en esta parte de hoy, en el centro de China. Es un mundo muy raro, pero este estilo de escribimiento es muy interesante y muchas cosas descriptivo y yo voy a compartir con ustedes. Entonces, the Taklamakan Desert of Extremes. So this is taken from this marvelous book, Danziger's Travels, by Nick Danziger. Now, he wrote this book way back in the late 1980s. That's when I first read this book. But off and on, since I've been in Colombia, I've been reading this again, a few pages here and there. And I was reading a bit more today, so I'm going to share with you a bit of my reading from today. So at this point in his story, he's crossing China, a China of 30 odd years ago, and he's in the Taklamakan Desert, apparently one of the largest on the planet, but a very remote place. So this is just him talking about how he's trying to negotiate a trip on a lorry to cross the desert. It was a 2-day journey from Nia to Charkan, always with the desert to our left and the distant Kunlun mountains to our right. There was a fire in the bus that had everybody screaming and caused one young man to jump overboard. There was a stopover at a remote settlement called Andir Langar, a collection of huts into which the sand had swept in drifts. They looked like beach huts, but there the resemblance between this place and the seaside ended. To move from one building to another, you had to lean into the wind and your feet would sink immediately ankle deep into the soft sand. At night, when we stopped, the silence was total. People would wander a little way into the desert, but they soon came hurrying back to the group, scared by the silence, the isolation. For all that, the desert was frighteningly enticing. Charkan lacks beauty. I stayed in a cheap guest house that was nothing more than a concrete slab among other concrete slabs, and here I searched for a lift. In fact, the town was rather like a Wild West frontier town, with simple one-story buildings describing a main street. It was invaded by sand, and the only transport was the donkey or the bicycle, although long-distance lorries trundled through. Once more I was given a warm welcome, and in the course of my stay I even played football as a substitute player for the local school. But the days passed. The local authorities became nervous at my continuing presence. And to be fair, they did their best to find me onward transport, and it was clearly time to be going. My chance came when a group of lorry drivers offered to take me roughly northeast to Charklik, Before setting out, we sat down to a veritable feast, yet one more banquet, in a restaurant whose one room served as workplace, kitchen and living quarters for the restaurateur and his family. Yet again, I found myself downing Chinese brandy as I had done with Tudi. Only the odds were now stacked against me. There were 9 drivers, and I had to take turns with each of them individually. It wasn't fair. Gambai, cheers, I slurred for the umpteenth time. I tried desperately hard to remain compos mentis, but suddenly I found that I was alone at the table. The others had disappeared. My stomach turned over. My bags were already in one of the trucks. They'd left without me. I ran out of the restaurant and bumped into one of the drivers, who had come back to collect me. They simply waited for me to finish my meal in peace. So there we go. A very short travelogue piece from Nick Danziger. If you can still find this book in print, I recommend it. It's very, very interesting. A world that's lost to us now, even though it's only 30 years ago, but an interesting read. So there we go. That's it for today. I hope you enjoy this one. Hopefully that will help you a bit listen to something a little bit different in English. You have to forgive my poor pronunciation of Chinese place names. But for now, at least, from Medellin on this marvellous evening, we'll say cheerio.